evening all. It's Monday, February 1st, so start of another week. I think this is either week 5 or week 6 already. So the year is already speeding along pretty good into the second month. So I got the swing arm and stuff completed now. You can see I have those brackets on there on the end of the swing arm, both sides. They look really good. And I have the screen in the front, which also looks really good. So I have a couple of little bits of touch-up paint to do, where I've been handling it and cleaning it off the sprue and stuff like that. I've also started on the body work. This is the front fender. I've only primed the top. I'm working on the seams. I have that little gap right at the tip. Those are always a pain to deal with. And I have the tank and rear shell, so a little bit of seam work to do on these, but not too bad. So I've only put gray primer on the seams because in the end this is going to be primed white. This is probably the paint that I'm going to end up going with, so I'm afraid if I put that on over gray it'll be too dark. So this is the paint that'll be going on that bike. Other than that, I'm just about, of course, to get started on the MiG for Charlie Max and Tim's group build. So when I get that on the bench, I'll be right back to show you where I am with that. Okay, also this is the plane that I'll be building for, or I'll be finishing for the Finish It Up February group build. This is MiG 3 from Trumpeter. This one here is the paint scheme I'll be going with. This one here. I didn't get hardly anywhere with this kit. I have no idea why I stopped. I didn't get far enough for it to be giving me any hassle, so let me zoom in here. So this is the cockpit. And basically on this build, on this kit, the cockpit is step 1. Excuse me. Cockpit is step 1 in the instructions. And I had just started on step 2. And yeah, I don't know why I put it back in the box, but anyways, I did a little bit of painting. I used the what do they call that? Zinc chromate, I think this color is, on the insides. I think the kit itself actually calls for just bare aluminum in here, but for some reason I went with the zinc chromate, and that's what I'm going to stick with now. Like I said, since I've already started. This is just the lower intake, and that's the panel for the intake. And these are the wheel covers. Hard to tell, but these parts are actually painted. Here's the bottom color that I'm using. It's Vallejo. Pale blue is the color that I'm using for the lower parts. It almost looks like a gray, but it's actually blue. So yeah, so that's where I left off, and I'll pick it up from there. And when I get a bit more to show, I'll be right back. Friday, end of another work week. Just down here, came down the bench, do a little bit of work tonight. Enjoy a little bit of iceberg. So I have been doing a bit of building over the past week, but I haven't haven't been recording any of it. So I'll just give you a really quick run through. Nothing further on this sub-assembly for the bike. I've moved on now to the body, so I have all the seams looking pretty good. Don't feel any seams or anything. I didn't do the seams here, this is not going to be seen, but all of these seams I haven't done, sanded, ready for the white primer. And then with the color, so I'm going to put the white primer on there tonight. Going to try and get the purple on there this weekend. Tomorrow maybe, or Sunday, one or the other. This piece here is for the Ferrari. Getting pretty close to the end on that now, but still pretty slow going. Some frustrating parts on there. The other thing I've been working on is the MiG. So I got the propeller and the hub, and it's just a retainer, I guess, or something. That's all cleaned up, primed, ready for paint. I have the wheels here put together. Need to clean up the seam a little tiny bit, a little bit of sanding, and then they're ready to paint. These parts are already painted. The blue is very subtle. It's painted as well. There's the air intake. So green on the inside, blue on the outside. Have the radiators put in, painted. The cockpit I think you've seen already. These are the wheel covers, painted as well. These are the landing gear. They need a little bit of weathering and some detail painting, and then they're good to go. And here on this assembly, which I can actually take these clamps off because I glued this last night. So I've started, as you can see, or you will be able to see in a second. Started on the wing assembly. Very little seam work to do on this kit. Trumpeter, so the fit on trumpeter kits is usually really nice. So let me zoom in, show you the kind of detail. Oops. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Yeah, you can really see really fine rivet detail on there. So I'm trying to do the least amount of sanding as possible because I don't want to lose any of that detail, and it's very fine as you just saw. So those are the wings, and once the wings are done, next step will be putting this, I'm not sure what that is, looks like some type of instrumentation or something. Put that together. Once that's together and painted, then I can put the fuselage together. So moving right along on the MiG. This weekend as well, I don't know if I'll get it in this video or not. But someday this weekend, either tomorrow or Sunday, I'm hoping to do a little bit of 3D printing as well. Right now I have my snowblower pulled inside, and it's right next to where my printer is, so it's a little tiny bit of a hassle trying to get to the printer right now. So once that blower is moved, just doing up a if you watch The Mandalorian, I'm planning to print a Beskar ingot, so hopefully get that done this weekend. But anyways, guys, I'm going to just continue on here and be back when I got a little bit of progress to show. Afternoon all, it's Saturday, coming up towards the end of the video for this week. I have a coat of white primer on the bike, so that's ready now for some color. I used Tamiya primer as the white primer. It's a bit expensive, but it's really good primer if you have any, or you have access to any. It's really, really fine, but like I said, it's not very cheap. Continue on a little bit on the wings here. Trying to get these pieces on. These two pieces here, there's one I have on. The other one is here. A little tiny bit fiddly, but not too bad. This part is complete now. I have the louver in there. Even though these parts are painted, they have that light blue. The only reason they're painted is I wanted to try with the color. This is the color I'm using here, pale blue, Vallejo. But when the plane is together, of course, I'll be painting the entire thing then. So these few items here will get repainted, which is fine because I've been handling those quite a bit here now. So this is the red that I'm planning to use for the accents. Also Vallejo. This is Scarlet Red, which is what the color that it actually calls for actually is scarlet. So I was surprised I'd actually add that. The top part of the plane, I'm going with, I can't remember if I said so or not. I'm going with this color scheme. So it's a very pale gray on top, light blue on the bottom. So I'm not sure what gray I'm going to use for this yet. The color call out basically just says gray. So I'll go online and see it equivalent Tamiya color for that. This is mostly what I have there is Tamiya. And I have a little bit of testers as well, but more than likely it'll be Tamiya that I'll use. So I'm hoping today on the bike to get some color on the fender and the tank and fairing there. I'm going to do the fender first and let it dry, and that'll let me know how this paint is going to look. The only other purple that I have is this. It's supposed to be a fluorescent purple. Doesn't seem overly fluorescent to me, but I think this color is a bit more in line with what the bike looks like. So I'm hoping to get a little bit further work done on the Ferrari. I'd really like by the end of the day tomorrow to actually have the body on the chassis. The one thing that I'm not looking forward to doing is applying these chrome stickers in place of the decals. Just because those are one shot, you only get one chance to put those down. So so I'm just gonna go away, do a little bit of work here, and I'll probably be back with one more update, and then that'll finish this week's update up, and I'll upload that to YouTube tomorrow. I'll be right back with one more one more update for the week. Okay guys, so I guess we're at the end of another week. Week 5 or 6, I'm not 100% sure. So I did get a little bit more done. Start off with the MiG. Got the 2 inlets here complete. So I think the next step regarding these wings is to actually put the fuselage on, which I have here. Still in 2 halves, of course. I put I think this is an intake or something here. So I glued that onto both sides. The only things I have to complete to join those 2 pieces, I need to finish painting and detailing the rear wheel, and this plate here that goes on behind the pilot. This has 2 very small pieces here that need to be painted and attached to that plate. I have the main landing gear pretty much done. Instead of using a black wash, I used the dark brown instead. So I may add another coat of wash to this before I call it done. I have the wheels done, or assembled and sanded anyways. I have the rim painted, just waiting for it to dry. Once it's dry, I'll paint the tires. Yeah, and then I'll be able to put the fuselage together and attach it to the wings. I think I'm going to have a few small gaps to fill when I make the wings to the main fuselage, but they're pretty small, so I'll be able to use tulip on those, and hopefully won't have any sanding if I do that. The other thing, I started to put a coat of paint on the Kawasaki. It's the front fender. Unfortunately, my airbrush was spitting. It needs, I guess it needs to be cleaned. I rarely disassemble my airbrush to clean it, only when I have to. And I think this is a time when I will have to do that. I'm not 100% sure now that I see that purple on there. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. This purple here I've showed before. I'll just show you. That's this purple here. That's what I used when I built this Danica Patrick NASCAR. That's what this purple looks like. Really not a whole lot of difference. This one's a little tiny bit brighter. I may see if I can get my hands on a bottle of Tamiya purple, and see what that looks like. But anyways, yeah, I need to give that a bit of thought. But because my airbrush was spitting, I need to sand this back down anyways and redo it, so no real time lost there. Other than that, like I said, I did a little bit of work on the Ferrari, but as I said previously, that gets its own update. So yeah, again, not a whole ton of work done this week again, but made a little progress anyways. So until next week, hope you stay tuned, and hope you stay tuned for the videos. Thanks for watching.